Hello, welcome to another round of Making Drinks with me. Today we're going to play around with cigars, because I found an old cigar in my house. And I just had it in my mouth. Normally, douchey bartenders talk about drinks. They say there's bright, delicate notes of tobacco and orange and vanilla. So instead of just making a fucking drink and talking about how there's notes of that in there, I'm just gonna put the tobacco into the drink, in a matter of speaking. So I found this cigar. I have no idea how old it is or where it came from. I also have this smoking gun. It's kind of like an automatic bong. You put a little bit of some schmutz in there, and then you turn it on and a little fan rockets the smoke into it. And in the interest of taking the flavors of vanilla and orange and some of those more complex, delicate tobacco notes, I'm also gonna force them into the drink as well. So I got this vanilla bean pod. Just gonna fucking rip it open. What is vanilla? I think it's an orchid. I think it's an orchid. It's a little bean from an orchid. I'm just gonna rub the glass with it. All right, this is called prepping the glass. I'm gonna prep the glass. I'm gonna take a knife, which is sharp, and cut off a little nubbaroo of the tobacco here. Also gonna make sure we take the shell of it off, the wrapper of the cigar. When they roll cigars, they use a different type of leaf for the wrapper that's normally not as nice as the innards, the guts. So we're gonna load the guts up into this little hole. And get a torch. This torch is kind of wonky. Sometimes it just stays on, so I hope that doesn't happen. We're gonna put this tube right underneath the glass. Start our torch. Turn on the smoking gun. Let it fill just a smidgen. Whoa! Don't burn your plastic. Oh, there's an off button I haven't been using. Gonna just put this over here. You'll immediately be entranced by a beautiful aroma. I'm gonna set this aside while I make the rest of the drink. Now, the drink that we selected today is a Manhattan, probably one of the more ubiquitous drinks being made all across the country now because it's super simple and everyone likes bourbon. We're gonna stir this drink. And the reason we're gonna stir it is because it's more of a classic cocktail. It doesn't have citrus in it. And we're gonna wanna just gently dilute it with a little bit of a good hard ice cube. Then we're gonna strain it, pour it into this glass. So we're gonna get our ice, gonna prep our stirring glass. Got these nice ice cubes. A lot of people stack them up high, but we don't need to do that because we're making one, and I also don't care. Gonna give it a little swirl-a-roo, make sure to get a little bit of dilution in there, and we're gonna select our booze. So for this particular riff on a Manhattan, we're going to use a dark rye whiskey. Traditionally for Manhattans, you would either use a rye or a bourbon. I like using rye. This one particularly is aged in port casks. So the finish on it's gonna be a little bit sweeter. It's gonna have a little bit more of like a deep kind of cherry type flavor. That's really gonna help to pair well with the smoke we have just festering in that glass. That's a weird word, fester. We're gonna do 2 ounces of that. And then for our vermouth, kind of the mainstay these days, Antica vermouth. It's got like a little bit of a syrupy dark cherry in there. It's a good red vermouth, very common.
Yeah, Three Brothers Pizza.
That's really all we need. We're gonna give it a nice swirl. We're just gonna wanna gently dilute some of the strong alcohol flavors. A little bit of water is gonna help bring out some of the more delicate notes, which is gonna blend really well with our really nice smoked glass. Once again, because we haven't really broken up any of this ice, we're just gonna strain it with my favorite thing that I still can't figure out what the fuck it's called, the little spring guy, this thing. We're just gonna put that over the top. We're gonna strain it into here. But first, this is something cool. You're feeling a little fancy, you got people you're entertaining over at your house, bring this out to your guests, give it a little puff, get a little nice special effects there. And we're just gonna gently strain this into our glass. Smells wonderful. Kind of like a fancy strip club. Or like an elderly gentleman's vest. What I imagine that smells like. We're gonna take the rest of that vanilla pod that we used to rim the glass with and toss it in there. That way no one looks at it and says, you like got some fucking schmutz on my glass. What is that? You can just say, hey, it's the vanilla. The vanilla is an expensive drink. Vanilla pods are expensive. Cigars are expensive, unless you just have them sitting in a drawer, which is how this came to be. And the booze is expensive, so you want to let them know. A little flavor cue in there. That's what we call flavor cue. Then you're going to take your wonderful peeler that you bought at the gas station today. Give a nice, get in there in the orange. This is a weird ass looking orange. All right, you get a nice little orange around. You're gonna want to get not too much pith because that's gonna get it bitter, and you're just gonna do a little twist, so get some of those oils onto the glass. Orange is also kind of a flavor characteristic you're gonna find in a cigar. So really, we got the peppery notes, the rye. As well as some sweet flavors from the vermouth, and really that really subtle base note from the tobacco smoke that we put in there. It smells delicious. It smells like my grandfather.
Well, obviously, I've got the bigger 3-wood.
When he was alive. I don't know how he smells now. Probably not good. Oh no, that is just delicious. Absolutely delicious. It tastes nothing like a cigarette. Which is a good thing because it was a cigar. But that was kind of my fear, is that it was going to taste kind of cigarette-y. And there you go. You got the blue note. Take a nice friend, lady, gal, guy, person out to a nice bar, have a drink, a cigar, maybe a nice steak. My Uncle Charlie, the guy I'm named after, always has a cigar in his mouth. And he used to come to my grade school and high school football games, and he only wears suits. So really did not help with the whole your family's in the mob type thing, because there'd be a bunch of guys in black suits with cigars hanging around. They always stood just far enough for it to be ominous. Like they weren't like in the stands with the rest of the parents. It was always just like standing on the top of a hill